to make welcome now to Atlanta Live, our next guest. And I know you're going to be blessed by his ministry and the incredible testimony of what God has done in his life. Please make welcome Clint Byars. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me here in my hometown of Atlanta. I'm excited to be here. I was born and raised in Atlanta, so this is great to be here and share with you guys.
Yeah, this is your old stomping ground.
This is my stomping grounds, yeah.
All right, great. And, of course, you're in Huntsville now?
We just moved, just relocated back to Atlanta.
I'm sorry, you were in Huntsville.
Yeah, I was at a great ministry over there, Impact Ministries, Dr. Jim Richards, a great church, great ministry. Served there as associate pastor in various places. You know, when you're in the ministry, you got to multitask and you got to be multi-talented. So absolutely, had a great time over there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some of those highlights you're probably going to share from us that tonight, and so we just want to jump right into it. Connie's got the book. Now you're an author, and we've talked a little bit about, you know, your writing just a little bit, and the name of this book is Devil Walk.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
True story.
True story. Yeah. Can you get a shot of that? Can you hold the book up? Yeah, there you go. Devil Walk, and of course, you know, I have books in 5 categories: books I want to read, books I need to read, books I have to read, books I've started reading, and books that someday I hope I'll finish. And I love to read, and I can't wait to get into this book. But this is a true story, and we talked just a little bit about it. Now, why don't you kind of tell us what the story is behind this?
Well, the story really it's a lifelong story. But I pick up right before I get to know God. And unfortunately, in my past, I was a substance abuser. Okay. And on one particular night, I had taken some LSD, which was something that I had done. You know, just to give you a little bit of backstory before we jump into, you know, what happened in the book. Right. I just wasn't raised in church. You know, my parents kind of knew God, told me a little bit about God, but I think I went to church maybe a dozen times really before I was 21 years old and really started going to church. Right. So what happened was I had no foundation, no base to defeat, you know, the attacks that were coming toward me, to ward off the lies of, you know, what the devil tries to put on you. Sure. So this one particular night, while on acid. Now, keep in mind, you know, an acid trip, for those people out there, probably some of you are familiar with it. You know, I remember actually, it's the funny thing of, you know, after a long night of tripping, I'd wake up and watch Christian television and just kind of make fun of people. But, you know, ultimately it was Christian television that brought me back to knowing who God was. You know, taught me all about God. So, little sidebar there. But this one night, while on acid, we were in a car, driving down the street, driving down Highway 85 out here, really just hop, skip, and a jump from the studio here. And I began to hear voices, and I thought that it was just the song or, you know, just the drugs. I didn't really know. You know, it was real common. I don't know if you've ever, you know, done that type of thing, but you know, I think so, more than I like to talk about. Yeah. So, you know, you can get into some pretty wild spaces. Sure. So I started hearing voices. Really, it started as a real faint sound, and I just remember thinking, what is that? You know, I'm trying to focus in. I'm trying to look and see, trying to hear what this is. And I thought it was just something in the song. But as I listened more closely, I started recognizing that it was voices, and voices that seemed to be in the car with me, but they kind of seem to be outside the car. You know, with the spiritual realm, the enemy can be just around you. Oh, yes. So I started trying to listen to these voices, and what they start telling me is that this is my time to die. I'm about to die. You're about to, here it comes, get ready. Here comes your death, get ready, you're about to die. And just real sadistic sounding voices. And so I listened to them. Unfortunately, you know, I often think back, you know, had I not listened to them, what would have happened differently that night? Because, you know, what we focus on gets larger in our lives. Sure. It's the same thing with God. We focus on the truth of God, and He grows, and He gets bigger in our hearts. Well, unfortunately, this night, I focus on these voices, and they're telling me that I'm about to die. Here it comes. Here's my death. Well, I believe them. I accept the lie. Now, I go into it in great detail. I describe what was going on in the car and how, and you know, all the details of what happened. Yeah. But to kind of skip ahead, we end up back at this house that night, and I'm still struggling with, am I alive? Am I not alive? Am I dead? You know, these are heavy, heavy issues to think about, and you know, much less while you're under the influence of LSD.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to just, you know, differentiate between what's real, what's not real. You know, it's just the drugs? And at this point, I was at the peak of the so-called trip.
Yeah.
So it was just extremely confusing.
Right.
Well, you know, that part kind of starts to die down a little bit. And I come to the point where I accept the reality that, you know what, I'm dead. I'm in hell, because everything around me seemed to change into that reality.
Yes.
That now I'm dead. Now I'm in hell.
Wow. Could you actually sense the presence of evil around you at this time?
I could.
Yeah.
You know, there was a point in the night where I walk out of the house, and I'm out in the driveway of the house, and I'm trying to get my bearings. I'm trying to, you know, at some point I started trying to call out to God.
Right.
But the demons that I was hearing, you know, those were what the voices were demons that telling me that I'm dying, I'm going to hell.
Yeah.
They just would laugh in scorn, you know, as if, it's too late for you. You're dead. You know, you're in hell already. It's over with. Jesus, there's no hope for you. You're done.
Yeah.
So I'm out in the driveway. I'm trying to put this together. I'm still under the influence, and really the biggest part of what happened at this point. You know, I look back toward the house, and as I'm looking at the house, it was otherworldly. It was dark. It was at night. There were shadows, you know, on the street that the house was on. There were no street lights, so everything was just, the mood was set for the devil to step in and create his lie. And as I'm looking back toward the house, I see a figure coming out of the garage, and he starts walking toward me. And, you know, kind of a long way to answer your question of, did I sense anything going on that night? Yes, I did, because when I was out in this driveway and this figure was walking toward me, I noticed that I couldn't see them with my physical eyes, but I could sense that these creatures were around.
Right.
And I explained in more detail.
Yeah.
You know, I explained of what I felt like they looked like and things like that.
Yeah, we don't want to give it all away.
No.
They need to get this book and
That's
read
right.
it.
And
Yeah.
I was going to say, you got to add another category of books. You got to add the category of books you're going to read tonight to that category.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
But
well, I want you to hold that thought, because we're getting ready to go to music, and folks, you don't want to miss this. You want to.